So, there's nobody obviously in the driver's seat of this truck, and you can see it just goes on its own. I mean, it could probably go all the way up Tombstone like this.
Hey guys, Tommy and Case here with the Fast Lane Classics, and we have a fun one for you today because we are out here in the Colorado Rocky Mountains with our 1989 Ford F350. And today we're going to see how it does off-road when the going gets tough.
If you haven't seen any of the Gunsmoke videos, basically what this project is, one of our viewers, a great guy named David Morrow, donated this truck to us so that we could rebuild it so that this truck will get auctioned off for Mountain State's Children's Home. And so far the project has been a ton of fun. Since then, Toyo has given us these 35-inch tires to really make this truck complete. And now we're actually going to see how these tires do off-road, because what else would you do with a truck like this and tires like that? Right now I am pulling up to what is going to be our first challenge, and we call it the Berm. It's a relatively small hill, but it's actually steeper than it looks, and it really puts some of these four-wheel drive vehicles to the test because it always gets wheel up in the air. So let's see how this Ford does. Now I've got it in granny gear, 4 low, with the front hubs locked. And I'm gonna try and keep my momentum going here. So my front wheel's in that dip, and my back wheel, but it hikes right over it. That's the thing with having big tires. You can just climb over anything because big tires make for small bumps.
Now, Case, the new Ford trucks, you simply twist a knob to get them into four-wheel drive, but not with these old Ford trucks, right?
No, and thankfully so, because you know what? The great thing about an old truck like this is it's dirt simple. There's no electronics going on. The way you get it into four-wheel drive is like that.
But we got one more step, right? Because we got to go lock the hubs.
Yeah, exactly. These old things, well, they make you do some stuff on your own, but that's good character building. To lock the hubs so that the front axle actually engages these front wheels, what you do is you just simply turn the hub and there you go. But if you're just driving down the highway and you don't want these wheels engaging the axle and causing all kinds of drag, you flip it back, and that way it helps your mileage. Although, I don't know how much that's really gonna change.
So Case, this is our first time taking that four-wheel drive F350 off-road. What are your initial impressions?
I can boil it down to one word so far.
Is that sophisticated and refined?
You know, I was actually thinking bumpy being the word that best describes what this is like on some washboard roads.
Now the other thing I'm curious about out here is how is that engine going to perform, because we usually don't take a lot of diesel trucks off-road. So I'm wondering if 7.3 liters of diesel is going to be an advantage or a disadvantage off-road.
Well, there's no replacement for displacement. I always believe that. And the nice thing is that this truck has so much gearing, I don't even think it matters too much what's under the hood.
Behind me is what we call Tombstone Hill, an off-road course we use to test new SUVs and new trucks to see how they perform out in the wilderness. Now the right side is steep, about 30 degrees, and also super rutted out, so it's a great test of the four-wheel drive system, the traction, and of course torque. That's the true side. The dare side is harder because it's super rocky, you get a little bit tippy. Let's see how this old truck will do. Now keep in mind, even though it has locking front hubs, that's not the same as a locking front differential. So it's got open diffs front and rear. I don't know, maybe it had a limited slip at one point, but that was a long time ago. So let's get right to it.
Let's see how she does. So far it's just crawling up, no problem. Here's our first hole. Oh yeah, this is a pretty old truck, but so far it's doing well. Wow, that was incredible. got to do a little hop in there over one of those bumps, but it still pulled through. Again, I mean, it's just crawling along like a climber. It's just rock climbing up this hill. I love it.
Wow, dude, that walked up that like that was nothing. That really challenges a lot of crossover SUVs and even some trucks, and that just was like
Yeah, that was some boring TV. So bring her on down. Let's see if that deli's a little bit more interesting.
That sounds good to me. This truck has the same problem as the first motorcycle I built. The motor is louder than the horn.
That's the same problem with every motorcycle you built.
Yeah, hadn't thought about it like that, but you might be right. All right, now it is time for the hard part of Tombstone Hill. And the truck walked up the easy part without too much wheel spin or much of any drama. Here comes the rocky bit. So far it's still just crawling, and I don't want to have to push in the clutch because the hills start right here. Would not be kind to the clutch, but there's no need to because it walked up this side of it just as easily. That's honestly impressive. Again, on camera that hill might not look that bad, but through the windshield it is daunting. Seeing this truck do something like that is pretty cool.
So Case, one of the big advantages of these old school trucks is they have a super low first gear, and when you combine it with the low range, you can go pretty darn slow.
Yeah, you can pretty much just make this truck unstoppable. It turns into a tractor because it's geared so low that even if you don't make a lot of power, it's just gonna crawl along no matter what you do to it.
So we're gonna try something that I've seen in movies and is definitely not recommended, but I'll be in the passenger seat the whole time. I wanna see if it's actually slow enough to walk alongside.
Which I'll bet it is.
I bet it is. All right, let's give it a whirl.
Not even gonna touch the gas, just letting the clutch out.
It's not that slow. Don't die.
So, there's nobody obviously in the driver's seat of this truck, and you can see it just goes on its own. I mean, it could probably go all the way up Tombstone like this.
Look, 0 miles an hour.
0.
I mean,
if there's anything that this truck is good at, going slow.
yeah, that's pretty much all it's good at, Case. So to be honest, I'm a little bit embarrassed about this video because I thought that the old truck with open differentials and completely firm suspension would really struggle on some of these hills, but it walked up both Truth, Dare, and the Berm like it wasn't even trying. It was a maze. So I apologize. I thought there'd be some more action in this video, but that's going to come up next time. I think we're going to have to push this truck a little bit harder. Now, Case, what do you have to say?
An old truck like this is never gonna drive on road like a modern truck. They're just a much more refined experience. And even modern heavy-duty diesels are still pretty rough in terms of their ride. But what's amazing is an old vehicle like this, when you get it on dirt, it really comes into its own because that's where all that gearing, those big axles, these big tires, and the torque from that 7.3 are actually useful. And that's all that really matters out here. So stay tuned for next time when we get this thing on some more challenging obstacles because I think it can handle it.